So now from overnight, the U.S. and Iran trading yet another round of intense strikes, testing that fragile ceasefire amid peace negotiations. President Trump weighing in moments ago on those talks in a brand new interview with the New York Post and Miranda Devine.
We can't let them have a nuclear weapon. And they've already agreed they're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
Have that?
Oh, yeah, they've agreed to that. I mean, now they can change their mind, but that was one of the things they had to agree. They've agreed to that. That was the big thing.
All right, now Trey Yingst has the latest. He's live in Tel Aviv to bring us up to speed now. And Trey, hello to you.
Yeah, hey, Bill, good morning. Overnight, Iran attacked Kuwait and Bahrain with drones and missiles. At least one person was killed and more than 60 wounded, in addition to significant damage caused to the international airport in Kuwait. Now, CENTCOM released a statement saying that an additional wave of Iranian drones attempting to attack U.S. forces in Kuwait failed to impact intended targets tonight. U.S. Central Command Air Defenses successfully downed multiple drones and ensured no American personnel or assets were harmed. The Iranian attacks were in response to U.S. strikes that targeted Keshem Island in the Persian Gulf, according to the IRGC. CENTCOM confirmed striking an Iranian military ground control station on the island and described the targeting as defensive in nature. Before that, U.S. forces also disabled an unladen oil tanker that was attempting to sail toward an Iranian port on the Persian Gulf by firing a Hellfire missile into the ship's engine room. The vessel had received multiple warnings over a 24-hour period. The exchange of fire comes as U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was on Capitol Hill Tuesday, indicating that talks with Iran continue toward a deal and that Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei is involved. President Trump said in an interview with the New York Post he would be open to meeting the new leader of Iran.
So who's making the decisions?
Well, they say he is giving approval because that's the way it has been for a long, long time. His father and then him, I guess it's a succession. But we seem to be getting along quite well.
Would you like to meet him or meet any of the Iranians in person?
I've never thought of it, actually. It's a very good question. I'll think of it. Yeah, I'd like to meet him. I'd like to meet everybody. I'd like to meet him. We probably will meet at some point, depending on how it all works out.
In a post on Truth Social yesterday, President Trump indicated that talks with Iran are ongoing. Bill?
Thank you, Trey. Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. Back to you with more headlines as we get them. Thank you, Trey. Jackie.
All right, with us now, former Secretary of the Navy, Kenneth Braithwaite. Secretary, thanks for joining us.
Jackie, thanks for having me.
Happy
a real
to have
pleasure.
you here.
Always glad to be back.
You heard Trey Yingst reporting there. You know, we are in our 8th week of this ceasefire.
Yes.
A lot of different pinpricks, including last night, attacks on the airport in Kuwait, persons dead. Has anything been achieved during this ceasefire? And do you wonder if the longer we wait for some big development, the harder it will be for President Trump, if he so chooses, to resume kinetic action? Because you get closer to the midterms every day.
The president is absolutely right, Jackie. I mean, the biggest threat is the enriched uranium. So unless we secure that, unless we make sure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon, they continue to be a threat to rule of order, rule of law, and democracies around the globe, right? And it's amazing why the world doesn't understand that. The U.S. Navy can continue to operate there ad infinitum. I mean, we have the capability. If anything has been proven in this, it's capability of our military forces there on scene. They've done a remarkable job. And time's on our side, Jackie.
Let me come back to that.
Yeah, roger that.
Roger that, copy. We say that a lot around here, by the way.
That's good. You guys operate this place like a flight deck of an aircraft carrier. I'm pretty impressed.
We appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Roger that and check. Here is the president asking the question about whether or not troops on the ground, U.S. forces. Watch.
Can you do it just with bombing? The other way?
Yeah, you don't have to. We don't need boots on the ground now. Well, we did it. You know, we wiped out much of their military with just bombing. We didn't put anybody on the ground. You don't want to do that. You're so far away. You don't want to do that if you can avoid it.
So respond to that. And you just said the Navy can do this as long as it takes?
We could continue to maintain the blockade as long as it takes, Bill. Yeah, absolutely. And we can continue to contain any kind of traffic through the Gulf. We've proven the blockade is working. And the blockade is what's going to strangle Iran. So time is on our side if the administration can convince the American people that, as the gas prices continue to go up, can we hang on? Of course we can hang on. I mean, the prices in Iran and the average, quality of life has just been catastrophic in Iran. And what we saw back in January with the uprising there, it's a tipping point. How long can the Iranian regime hang on and maintain, order? So.
But do you think that Iran knows that every day closer to November, it'll be a tougher sell for the president to resume kinetic action? Because you also have this senior Iranian officer, Brigadier General, telling CBS, or in an interview with DEFA Press, as cited by CBS News, we have not played all our trump cards yet. There are many capabilities that, if necessary, we will use. When surrender is not an option, war lies ahead. Therefore, we are prepared and have no issue with war. That doesn't sound like a negotiation, but, they're not, both sides are kind of like keeping things where they are.
Yeah, well, again, they have to take that stand. They have to continue. It's like playing poker. What do I have in my hand? That's what the Iranians want you to believe. They don't have anything in their hand, right? The president has all the cards right now, and we'll determine how we negotiate this. And I think things bode well for the United States. We just have to hang in there and understand that things are going to get a little more difficult. And if the president's willing to take a hit at the ballot box in November, and I think we achieve our objectives with.
There have been questions about the level of munitions that we have,
yes.
And the Israelis have in tune. Not regular munitions, but these highly sophisticated technical instruments that we use to knock the missiles and the drones from the sky. What is your measure of confidence that we are fully satisfied in that supply area?
Sure, we've depleted some of those stores, absolutely, Bill. But part of this negotiation that we're in now is the ability to rearm and to re-prepare. And understanding the military-industrial base as it is, we're building those stores back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. You're
Real
welcome
pleasure.
anytime to come on board our aircraft carrier.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Call it out. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.